There are places in this world that do not belong to time. Places untouched by wind or storm, unseen by the eyes of progress. In the heart of the African desert, beyond the maps drawn by explorers and the footprints erased by centuries of wind, there lies a silence so deep it hums beneath the earth. They say if you walk far enough, past where the dunes become waves and the heat turns the air to glass, you will hear it. A low vibration, like the pulse of the planet itself. Those who hear it never forget it. It's not a sound, not exactly. It's something that moves through the bones, something ancient and alive. And if you follow it long enough, through nights so cold they feel like death, through days so hot the sand burns through your thoughts, you may find the temple. The tribes call it Etemara, the House of Time. No one knows when it was built or by whom. The elders say it has always been there, older than the stars above it, older than the memory of man. When the sun rises, the temple shines like a mirror of black stone, half buried in the endless dunes. At sunset, it glows faintly like coal still breathing after fire. It does not belong to any religion, nor to any god known to history. Its walls bear no name, no language, only shifting symbols that seem to move when you're not watching. Some believe they tell the story of the world before time began. Others say they are warnings. The first written mention of Etemara appeared in 1846 in the journal of a French explorer named Etienne Voss. His words are now preserved in a museum in Dakar, though most dismiss them as the fantasies of a man lost to heat and thirst. He wrote, "There is a hum beneath the desert, like the sound of breathing. The sand moves, but the stones remain still. I found a structure of black rock that reflects no light. When I approached, the air became cold." He described an entrance that seemed to change size the closer he came to it, a threshold that swallowed shadows whole. He camped nearby for 3 nights, unable to sleep. On the 4th morning, his last entry simply said, "The temple watches." He vanished after that. His team found his compass spinning endlessly, his watch frozen at 3:33. His footprints led to the temple's door, but none returned from it. For years, other explorers went searching for Etemara. Some claimed to find remnants, strange stones that hummed when touched, or bones that didn't decay. But none ever produced proof. And yet the stories continued. The tribes nearest the region spoke of travelers who entered the dunes and came back, changed. Their hair black again, their eyes bright, their skin smooth as the day they were born. But they were silent. They never spoke of what they saw. And though their bodies were young, their souls seemed ancient, like they had lived 1,000 years in a single night. In the evenings, under the vast ocean of stars, the elders would tell the tale by the fire. The temple does not reveal itself to those who seek it. It calls those who are ready to trade their time. They believed that Etemara is alive, breathing under the sand, listening to the hearts of men. It feels the desperation, the longing, the fear of aging. It calls to those who cannot accept the mirror's truth. Some say you can hear its song only once in your life. A hum, low and steady, that rises with your heartbeat. It is said that when the temple calls you, you feel a strange calm. The fear of death fades. The past no longer feels heavy. It's as if time itself steps aside to let you pass. The few who have described it say the journey is like walking through a dream. The horizon never moves closer. The dunes never end, yet you keep walking because something deep inside tells you to. The stars above rearrange themselves into patterns you've never seen. You stop feeling hunger, thirst, even pain. Then one morning it appears, half buried, half awake. The black stone catches the first light of dawn and turns it to gold. The air hums around it like an invisible choir. There are no doors, no guards, no signs of life. Only the silence of eternity. Those who stand before it often describe a sensation of being watched. Not by eyes, but by memory itself. The temple seems to remember you, as if it has seen your face before, in another life, another age. The people who return, if they return, describe one thing the same way. Time does not move inside. They say the sand outside continues to shift. The sun continues to rise and fall. But within the walls, nothing changes. It's as though the air has been suspended between moments. Some claim they heard whispers inside, voices of those who came before, speaking in languages older than breath. No one knows what lies at the center. Some say there's a pool of liquid gold that reflects your soul. Others believe a column of light rises from the ground, connecting heaven and earth. But all agree on one truth: no one leaves unchanged. There are stories of young men who went in seeking immortality and came out as elders, bent, grey but smiling. Others, old and weak, emerged in the prime of youth, but with eyes so hollow they seem to carry centuries within. And then there are those who never returned at all. To this day, the desert guards its secret well. The wind shifts the dunes, covering the temple for years at a time, then uncovering it again when the world forgets. Every few decades, someone claims to have heard the hum again, somewhere beyond the dunes of Tanezruft or near the sands of the Sahel. But the elders say Etemara moves, that it doesn't have a fixed place. It travels beneath the desert like a heartbeat, waiting for the one who needs it most. Those who have heard it describe the same haunting feeling, as if time itself were alive and tired of being measured. They say the temple is not evil. It simply balances what the world has broken. It takes from those who have wasted their years and gives to those who have lived with purpose. But no one can ever keep what it gives. Because the temple does not trade in years or beauty, it trades in meaning. When it gives youth, it takes memory. When it gives strength, it takes time. When it gives peace, it takes the will to leave. No one truly knows if Etemara is a curse, a miracle, or a machine left by something beyond human understanding. But in the quiet corners of the world, when people speak of eternal youth, they always end the story the same way. Somewhere in the desert, there is a temple that never ages. It is waiting for you. The sun had already begun to fall behind the dunes when the traveler reached the outer walls of the hidden temple. It wasn't built of stone like most ancient structures, but of something that shimmered between gold and clay, an impossible material that seemed to breathe with the wind. The air was heavy, filled with the scent of wild herbs and the faint sweetness of incense. It felt as if time itself slowed down near the walls, as though the hours resisted moving forward. He wasn't alone. Around the entrance, men and women of perfect symmetry stood silently, watching him approach. Their faces, identical, serene, ageless, bore that same haunting beauty found throughout the village. No one spoke. No one blinked. They merely observed him, as if they already knew his purpose. As he stepped closer, one of the guardians, a tall man whose skin reflected the amber light of the sunset, raised his hand. The gesture was gentle yet absolute. The traveler stopped immediately. The guardian then spoke, his voice deep and melodic, echoing in a rhythm that didn't belong to any known language. "You've come to seek what should not be sought," he said. The traveler swallowed, unsure whether to answer or to remain silent. His heart pounded with both fear and fascination. "I've come to understand," he finally whispered, "to see what keeps you young, what keeps you the same." The guardian tilted his head, as if amused by the innocence in the traveler's tone. "We are not kept young," he said. "We are kept whole. The body changes when the soul is divided. We simply never divided ours." The traveler didn't understand, but he felt the truth of the words sink into his skin like warmth. Without another word, the guardian turned and began to walk toward the entrance. The others followed, moving in silent harmony, their footsteps creating a rhythm that sounded like distant drums. The temple doors opened without touch. They seemed to sense the presence of those who approached. Inside, the darkness wasn't frightening. It was deep and alive. The walls pulsed faintly, covered in carvings that resembled veins under the skin. Every symbol glowed faintly with a golden hue, as if the temple itself was alive. breathing, listening. The traveler felt dizzy, overwhelmed by the strange harmony of it all. There was no sound, no movement, yet everything felt in motion. At the center of the great hall stood a circular pool of water, perfectly still. Its surface reflected not just the ceiling above, but something else, something infinite. When he looked down, he didn't see his reflection. He saw himself as a child, then as an old man, then as something else entirely, a being of light and memory. He stumbled back, gasping for breath. The guardian watched him calmly. "This is the gate of renewal," he said softly. "It shows you what you truly are, and it takes from you what you cannot face." The traveler's hands trembled. "What happens if I step into it?" The guardian looked toward the pool, then back at him. "You will remember who you were before you were born, and you will never be the same." The words were like a spell. Something in the traveler's chest pulled him forward, like gravity, calling him home. He walked closer, his feet silent on the cold stone floor. The air grew warmer, heavier, almost liquid. Every step felt like walking through time itself. As he reached the edge, the reflection changed again. Now he saw not himself, but hundreds of faces, all identical, all watching him through the water. They were the villagers, the ageless ones, the guardians of the temple. Their lips moved in unison, whispering a phrase he couldn't understand. Suddenly the guardian's voice echoed behind him. "Once you see yourself in all others, you will never die. But if you step in, still believing you are one, the water will take you." The traveler hesitated. His body screamed to run, but his mind was entranced. The promise of eternal youth, the truth behind centuries of myth, was right there, within reach. He reached his hand toward the surface. The water rippled, glowing, under his touch, and for a moment he felt something extraordinary, a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Then a whisper filled his mind, not from the guardian, not from the villagers, from the water itself. It said, "The price of eternity is the death of the self." He pulled his hand back instantly. The glow faded, and the pool became still again. The guardian approached slowly. "You are not ready," he said. "Few are. Most come here seeking beauty, youth, perfection, and they find emptiness instead." The traveler looked up at him, breathing heavily. "So that's the secret? You trade your soul for eternal youth?" The guardian smiled faintly. "No, we do not trade, we merge. You cannot understand until you see the third light." "The third light?" the traveler repeated. "It rises only once every 100 years, the guardian said, his eyes glimmering with something beyond emotion. "When the moon meets the sun in the sky and the pool opens the path between the seen and the unseen. If you stay until then, you will know the truth, or you will be lost to it." The traveler stared at the pool, then at the faces carved on the walls, each one perfect, identical, timeless. The thought of leaving now felt impossible. Whatever this temple held, it wasn't just myth. It was a secret that could rewrite everything humanity believed about life, death, and time itself. Outside, the last light of the day vanished beyond the horizon. The temple walls shimmered faintly, as if awakening for the night. The guardian turned toward the darkness and began to walk away, his voice echoing softly through the hall. "Rest, wanderer. When the third light rises, the truth will call your name." The traveler stood alone before the pool, staring at the faint reflection of his trembling face, wondering if, by morning, he would still recognize himself. Night fell like a slow breath over the desert. The dunes turned silver under the rising moon, and the wind carried the soft hum of unseen voices, the kind that make the soul remember something ancient. Inside the temple, the air had changed. It felt alive, charged with invisible energy, as if the stars themselves were watching from above. The traveler hadn't slept. He sat beside the sacred pool, the gate of renewal, staring at the silent water. Its surface no longer reflected his face, but 1,000 stars that moved like eyes. He could feel time stretching, not moving forward, not backward, just expanding around him, like a circle with no end. The guardian appeared from the shadows. He carried a small bowl filled with golden dust. It shimmered as he walked, leaving a faint trail of light on the ground. "It begins soon," he said. The traveler stood. "The third light?" The guardian nodded slowly. "When the moon touches the sun's ghost, the veil opens. The question is not whether you will see, but whether you will return." The words sent a chill down his spine. Still, something stronger than fear called him. Curiosity, wonder, maybe destiny itself. "What happens when it opens?" he asked. The guardian looked at the pool, his eyes glowing softly. "You will see the truth of creation. Every life, every death, every face. And if your heart is still divided, the truth will consume you." Outside, the wind grew stronger. The sky began to shift colors, silver melting into violet, then gold. It wasn't dawn. It was something else, something unnatural. The moon began to burn from within, glowing with a second light. The traveler shielded his eyes as a golden beam pierced through the temple roof and struck the water. The pool came alive. The surface boiled without heat, rising in luminous spirals that danced like living smoke. The carvings on the walls started to move, faces twisting, merging, breathing. Every face identical, every soul connected. The sound that filled the air wasn't music, but something deeper, the sound of time folding. The guardian stepped forward, standing beside the traveler. "This is the third light," he said softly. "It will show you what we are." Before the traveler could answer, the ground trembled. The beam widened, engulfing the entire chamber in gold. The villagers began to enter, men, women, children, all with that same haunting beauty. They formed a circle around the pool, moving in perfect rhythm, their eyes glowing faintly. They began to hum a single tone, low and resonant, vibrating through bone and blood. The traveler watched, mesmerized. The villagers raised their hands toward the beam, and their reflections appeared in the water, hundreds of identical faces shimmering like one. The sound grew louder, the light brighter, and then, suddenly, the reflections merged into a single being, vast, radiant, and made entirely of light. It spoke without words. "You seek eternal youth," it said inside his mind. But youth is not the absence of age. It is the remembrance of unity. The traveler's heart raced. He could barely breathe. The being's light pulsed, showing visions within it, vast deserts turning to oceans, civilizations rising and falling, and faces, millions of them, all sharing the same pattern. "This world once knew no separation," the voice continued. "Every being mirrored every other. No envy, no decay. But when one chose to be different, time began. And with time came aging." The traveler trembled. "You mean humanity broke away?" The being's light dimmed slightly. "Yes, you chose individuality, and with it came death. But here, we remembered the first form, the form before difference." He looked around at the villagers, their perfect faces, their calm stillness. They weren't cursed. They were something else entirely. Fragments of one soul that had never separated. The realization hit him like lightning. They were all one being, living through many bodies. The guardian turned to him. "Now you see. To be timeless, we must not be alone. Each face you see is the same thought reflected through 1,000 mirrors." The traveler shook his head. "But that means there's no you, no me, just one." The guardian smiled faintly. "That is eternity." The pool began to pulse again, brighter now, calling him. "If you wish to join," said the guardian, "you must let go of the name that binds you. Forget the face that claims you. Only then will the light accept you." The traveler hesitated. Everything inside him screamed for meaning. The human need to hold on to identity, memory, self. Yet here was a chance to end suffering, to transcend decay, to live forever. His reflection in the water flickered, his face melting, morphing into countless others. His past flashed before him, Childhood laughter, faces he loved, dreams he never lived. All of it fragile, temporary. He looked at the Guardian. If I step in, will I ever remember who I was? No, the Guardian said, but you will remember everything else. A tear rolled down his cheek. The light began to hum his name, softly, lovingly, as if calling him home. The villagers raised their voices. The hum turned into a chant, echoing through the desert. The pool shone like a sun being born beneath the earth. He took one step forward. The air became warm, gentle, almost merciful. The second step, his heart slowed, his breath aligned with the rhythm of the chant. On the third step, he reached the edge, and for a single moment he saw his reflection smiling back, peaceful, eternal. Then he stepped into the light. The water didn't splash. It accepted him, folding around his body like silk. The glow consumed him entirely, rising higher until the entire temple was burning in gold. The chant stopped. Silence. Then, as the beam faded, the water became still again. The villagers lowered their hands. The Guardian looked down into the pool. There was no body, no trace. Only a reflection, a new face. Perfect, identical, timeless, he whispered softly. Welcome home. Outside, dawn finally arrived. The desert wind carried the faint scent of incense, and somewhere in the distance, the sound of laughter, not of one, but of many, sharing a single voice. The temple walls shimmered faintly as if smiling. The traveler was gone, and yet everywhere.